The era of imperfection, if you will, of those early rock bands from the 50s through the mid-90s or so when Pro Tools came into use, or the late 90s, was an era where the limitations of the recording mediums, for example, tape, made you think before you tried to fix things because you didn't want to take a chance on erasing things. Now, imperfection in music has become irrelevant to a certain degree. Most of the music, popular music that's on the radio or that people stream on Spotify or Apple Music, is music that's generally created by a small group of people on laptops. There's very little imperfection in it. You don't have to worry about things being out of time or having a human element to it because it's actually not even thought about anymore. Things are placed on a grid. The sounds are created in studios and they're presets that some people tweak. Some people don't even bother tweaking. They just take out a preset, start playing, create a loop, put a song together, create a verse, a chorus. They follow these formulas. And the era of limitation is over now. What makes a song great? It's usually a combination of things: the melody, the lyrics, the rhythm. Many times it's the imperfections in the music that make it great. Now, you don't necessarily think about it. When I was going over Ramble On, there's tuning discrepancies here and there in the guitars, and there's a little speeding up and slowing down. There's that 16th note part that's being played, but we accept those things because the era that I grew up in was an era of imperfection, and people really never even thought about it, that this was the humanity in music. And that humanity has been taken away to a certain degree when you quantize things, when you auto-tune things, when you use all canned sounds. When I say canned sounds, I mean sounds that come from computers, right? Synth patches or, drum samples, things like that really don't take any time to create except for the people that wrote the programs and created the sounds originally. I mean, when you think of the 808 drum machine, that it was created back in whenever it was, 1980 or the early 80s, and those same drum sounds are still being used today. Originally, people had to create their own sounds. They had to record drums from scratch with microphones. They had to record acoustic guitars with microphones and vocals and things like that. And they couldn't tune them. They had to sing them till they got them right. And they wouldn't dare take a chance on erasing something that was close, because at that time, perfection was the enemy of good or great. And people learned to live with imperfection. And imperfection became a central part of the music. And then we eventually made it into the late 90s and we had Pro Tools. And Pro Tools made it to where anyone could make records. Anybody could make a bad drummer sound like they could play in time. Anybody could make a bad singer sing in tune, whatever that means. And it allowed people like me to not have to work in a studio for 3 years, to intern under somebody that was a professional producer, and I could read the manual of Pro Tools and figure out, okay, this is how you record, even though I had no experience in this except for my ears. People talk about, oh, so-and-so created the Billie Eilish record was all done on a laptop. It's like, yeah, all records are done on laptops because a laptop is a computer. So people create everything on computers now. That's how recording is done, unless you're using a 2-inch tape machine, which almost nobody does anymore. So this era of imperfection is over. So my question is to the people that block music, all these classic artists, the people like Fleetwood Mac and Led Zeppelin and Guns N' Roses and Prince and Jimi Hendrix, and who do these people think that they're selling their music to? Or who do they think they're introducing? What new audience are they introducing their music to? Well, I say that they're not. That their music is going to be gone with them, and it will never be introduced to new audiences because of these draconian things like blocking. I'm not sure what that does, how that benefits them to not have people talk about their music.